All right, I'd like to introduce our next presentation here at the Planet MicroCap Showcase Vancouver in association with Small Cap Discoveries. Now presenting is BTQ.
Hey everyone, I'm Nikolai Rusinudin, the co-founder and chief operating officer of BTQ Technologies. We're a publicly listed quantum technology company listed in Toronto on the NEO exchange. And so we're focused on commercializing near-term quantum technology. Right now there's a global space race to develop quantum computers and adjacent technologies. And I think it's getting quite exciting just given the amount of capital going into the space. So it is truly global. You have China outspending the US 30-1 on quantum technology. They just recently announced a $15 billion quantum lab. But you also have substantial developments here in Canada. So last year, for the first time, Canada introduced its first national quantum roadmap. So this was about $700 million, focused on computing, quantum sensing, quantum communications, and cryptography as well. And there's a huge amount of implications for the advancements of quantum technology. So what made quantum technology famous back in 1994 was this researcher at Bell Labs in the United States by the name of Peter Shor. Came up with Shor's algorithm. So he was able to theoretically demonstrate that quantum computers could break modern day encryption. So this is the public key cryptography that we've been using on the internet for the past 40 years. So all of that is rendered obsolete with the emergence of quantum technology. So there's a huge risk today that bad actors out there, so whether that's foreign governments or companies, are harvesting encrypted data, harvesting your data today, and just planning to decrypt it at a later stage when they build a working quantum computer. And this is why the U.S. government and others have, recently mandated, the move to quantum encryption. So this is a new form of cryptography that can withstand quantum attack. And as mentioned, this is very important because bad actors can simply harvest encrypted data today and just decrypt it at a later stage. So think defense, think anyone with long-term data security requirements. It's very important to start looking at encrypting information today with quantum secure schemes. So the agency in the U.S. that is leading this is NIST. So together with the National Security Agency, this transition to post-quantum standards started almost a decade ago. So there's been a huge global effort in academia, some of the large technology companies, researchers, to come up with new algorithms, based on new math problems that can withstand quantum attack. And so BTQ, we've been involved in this process, and one of our algorithms has been shortlisted in the standards. So Canada is actually where quantum was first commercialized. So back in 1999, D-Wave Systems, company here in Vancouver, started building a quantum computer. You're now seeing a robust ecosystem of startups and nonprofits, across the country. And, the Trudeau government has been very supportive, which, was essentially explained in this national quantum strategy that was announced last year. So BTQ, we've assembled, a leading team of researchers, focused on quantum technology. We do this in partnership with some great universities like University of Waterloo, Macquarie University down in Sydney, and then various government institutes like ITRI in Taiwan, which incubated TSMC, and others. So, but we're headquartered here in Vancouver. And right now we're focused on, basically building quantum-related intellectual property, and we have a focus on cybersecurity, just given the recent standards and some of the catalysts there. And we also engage in research contracts, so we develop quantum-related intellectual property for large companies like Foxconn, where we co-own IP. And we also work with the Canadian government and other governments on quantum-related projects. So team is led by Olivier, so he's the founder of Hive and DeFi Technologies. Hive is a NASDAQ-listed data center company. Our chief scientist is Professor Brennan, so he's the head of quantum engineering at Macquarie University in Sydney. And we also have, on our board, Kevin Mulhern, who's the vice president of Broadridge Financial Group. So I think it's very exciting as a public company right now. We're the only one that's listed focused on this near-term, on some of these near-term applications of quantum cybersecurity. And we're now in the stage where we're actively licensing and commercializing our various product offerings. So over the summer, we announced our first material licensing revenue. And our products span across software and hardware. So PQ Scale, for instance, is a framework for blockchains to be post-quantum compliant. So we're working with some of the leading blockchains like Stellar and Starkware. QSIM is our hardware offering. So what we think is going to be a major opportunity is post-quantum hardware. So you can think of every connected device is going to need to upgrade and support post-quantum cryptographic processors. So whether that's your phone or an IoT device or what have you. So at BTQ, we've developed a hardware offering that we can license out to various companies that are manufacturing these products. And we're well known for developing Prion, which has been shortlisted in that US government process. So this is an algorithm that we have high conviction on being standardized and was co-developed with our partners at Foxconn Group. So PQ Scale is our blockchain offering. We're working closely with Starkware. This is the largest kind of network, layer 2 network on Ethereum. And I think we're seeing all blockchains moving to quantum security. This was a kind of laid out in the roadmap earlier this year by Vitalik, the founder of Ethereum. And we're looking at other applications for quantum technology. So quantum consensus is essentially building a quantum analog for proof of work. So proof of work is what powers Bitcoin's consensus mechanism. So we've built a way to essentially perform proof of work using near-term quantum devices, because I think there's still a real need to find near-term use cases in quantum computing. So we looked at it from, how can we perform proof of work using kind of dramatically less energy, than existing, Bitcoin POW. So this is what we demonstrated and published a paper on with our partners at Macquarie University in Sydney. And there's lots of applications in central bank digital currencies. So the Bank of Canada recently published a paper on, the fact that their central bank digital currency that they're developing needs to be post-quantum first. So we're quite excited about the use cases here for both our software, PQScale and QSIM offering to power, the quantum security for global money supply. Prion, so we are the only Canadian company with a U.S. government quantum encryption standard. We're quite excited in that over the summer we announced a partnership with SK Group. This is the telecom company in Korea, to deploy Prion within their telco network. Just shows that every country, especially in Asia, is following the U.S. And they're all adopting these NIST standards. Already touched on this. So we're very excited about our QSIM offering. Just yesterday, we announced an acquisition of a Stanford incubated quantum hardware company. So we see a huge opportunity to essentially power various IoT devices, mobile devices with this technology, and we've been working on this initially with our partners at ITRI, which is the research institute in Taiwan, and we keep an office in Taipei, which we see as very strategic to work with some of the large companies there that would need our intellectual property. So we've been public for about 1.5 years now, listed early last year. We raised about $7.5 million placement when we went live, and traded on the NEO and on the OTCQX. Some of our partners, so we're very fortunate to work with the Canadian government. Just last month, we announced our first kind of large-scale grant from MITAC, the Canadian funding agency, as well as partners like Foxconn, and also CSIRO, which is the Australian National Lab. So some of our key milestones. So we've been building an extensive patent portfolio as well. I don't think we've listed that here. So we have over 10 patents, and are actively looking at M&A and other opportunities to kind of have the most extensive near-term quantum IP portfolio. And just recently, and again, I'll highlight this as a major catalyst. So last month, the U.S. government published these quantum encryption standards. So this is after almost 10 years. And I think, when it comes to quantum, there's been a lot of focus on the computing side, building quantum systems, but the implications as it relates to cybersecurity has been a bit under the radar, but it's extremely important. And certain agencies in the U.S. now have less than 180 days to implement these standards within their infrastructure. And this was mandated through a Biden administration executive order. So we're aggressively expanding. We've launched a subsidiary, BTQ Australia, over the summer, and have partnered with the Australian Quantum Software Network. So this is a not-for-profit backed by the Australian government. So we're helping them commercialize some of their technology that they're building. So they have support from all the major universities in Australia. And Australia has one of the best quantum-related talent pools. I think it's important to emphasize how scarce the talent is in quantum computing. I think when it comes to something like quantum error correction, so like building quantum computers, you have potentially hundreds of researchers globally that have the expertise. So it's a very small talent pool. And over the summer, we also announced our partnership with IDQ. This is the subsidiary of SK Group. IDQ is a provider of hardware to Samsung. So they power the random number generator technology in Samsung devices. So we're quite excited about that partnership to incorporate some of our hardware technology in that ecosystem. So Foxconn is an exceptional partner. We're working with them not only on the development of Prion, our quantum encryption standard, but Foxconn, like other companies, are very interested in Canada and the quantum ecosystem here. So we have a partnership with Foxconn to oversee research they do within Canada. So whether that's with universities or other corporates here, they do that through BTQ. And I think there's opportunity to do other partnerships like that, going forward. So early next month, I'll be in Waterloo speaking at their annual cybersecurity conference. Currently, we're working with Waterloo on developing a hardware implementation for Prion, our quantum security standard. And we're very excited to be involved in that ecosystem. And we see Waterloo as a great place for additional hiring of research talent. And we're now seeing a bit of coverage. We've been pretty under the radar, but I think this is our first capital markets conference I've done. Just stepping back, I think right now is a very exciting time for quantum technology here in Canada and elsewhere. And we're starting to see a bit more mainstream coverage. It was mentioned in the U.S. presidential debate a few weeks ago as well, and I think that'll continue. And we're working with a number of other standards organizations as well. So NIST isn't the only one. There's IRCS, which is a Korean-based organization. And so every country has its own independent standards, but will typically follow NIST at the end of the day. And I think that pretty much sums it up. So happy to take any questions and go from there. Yeah. Sorry? So we announced our first revenue deal over the summer. So we're currently generating revenue. Yeah. No, not yet, but we announced in our filing over the summer that our first set of licensing deals. So. When do you anticipate? I think now that the standards are in place, we're very bullish on kind of the next 6 months in terms of other contracts and other developments that can bring the company forward. I'm not going to pretend to know much about quantum computing. I honestly don't know much. Can you just simplify for me? So, like WhatsApp, for example, uses encryption service, end-to-end encryption. What does quantum proofing, like a WhatsApp encryption, kind of do? That's my first question. And second is, like, why could a Google or something not do what you're doing in-house, or maybe they could? What differentiates you from them? Those are my questions. Sure. So if like WhatsApp or some of the messaging services are already quantum secure, so Signal, for instance, has introduced quantum security. So as an end user, you won't even experience anything. So ultimately, there's just a new encryption algorithm that underpins that is kind of backed by a new math problem that has no known quantum attack vectors. So does WhatsApp currently do that, or WhatsApp could be potentially? I don't think WhatsApp currently does it, but Facebook has announced plans to transition to post-quantum security.
Okay, and now would a company like you be like a third party being able to sell your product to like a Facebook to give them quantum computing benefits, or?
Sure, they could use our encryption standard for sure to do that, to enable that compliance.
Okay, and if someone were to breach them because they don't have quantum computing, they have access to everyone's Facebook profile, essentially is what you're saying, without it being quantum proof?
Yeah, that's right. They'll be able to, if they have a capable quantum computer, they'll be able to break into those and decrypt them.
Okay, and you already have like a software kind of generated thing that prevents this from happening currently? Like you already have this quantum protocol that could be used, like implemented today, I guess the dissemination of public profiles or whatever?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah. When quantum computers? So there's already quantum computers that are available today. So you can go rent them, kind of like you go to Amazon Cloud Services and can access them via the cloud. They're just not very powerful yet. So I think that's kind of a global challenge: is how do we scale these systems so they can solve useful problems or kind of decrypt encryption. But yeah, you can access quantum systems today. Amazon offers them, so a lot of researchers are now using them and seeing what they can come up with and seeing if they can find useful problems.
Yeah, just to clarify, so the zero knowledge proofs, like are all the algos quantum resistant, or is it your implementation more quantum resistant than the other one?
Yeah, so we have the only post-quantum zero knowledge standard that's recognized by NIST. So any other kind of company or what have you that says they're doing post-quantum zero knowledge, they're not using a standard. And if you're not using a standard, typically, you're not seen as being prudent with your infrastructure.
So big guys they're not really competitors?
No. They would be kind of, they could use pre-on our standards, so we don't see them as competitors. I think we see that as a potential partner.
Okay, so
yeah.
your intellectual motive, you've got standards, you've got kind of the approval from the NIST side. Okay, so the second question is like you're in blockchain, you've done the stellar implementation. How do you protect your intellectual property from, let's say some guy, doing a hard fork of the stellar blockchain?
Sure. So we've also built hardware acceleration. So even if we were to open source all the software, there would still need to be hardware acceleration for that technology. So that's a way that we could, kind of continue to monetize.
And then, last question, like your marketing campaign, are you going to go into the blockchain guys in the U.S. or are you just going to stay in Canada?
Yeah. So most of the companies we're working with are U.S.-based currently for blockchain. What mandates quantum encryption? Several do, but I would, it kind of depends what you're looking at. But yeah, happy to talk to you about the specific mandates around that. Yeah, I think they're Taiwan. We don't do anything in mainland China, so Foxconn's headquartered in Taiwan, which is, still obviously not recognized, but, still, within, Canadian government right now. We've had a lot of support from the trade office in Taipei. They're very supportive of our partnership with that group. Yeah, for sure. Okay, great. Thank you.